Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Robert Ferguson. Yes, I'm a guy who shares because I care. And today we're going to share because we care. Well, it's a good day. And joining me in our time together is AKA Hammer Girl. I'm doing it in reverse. I call her Lisa Marie. I'll bring her on here in a second. And we're going to talk about these popular weight loss drugs. It seems like I can't go a day without someone bringing it up, or I'm reading some new article or some new paper that's talking about the negatives of these drugs. And now we're at a place where these drugs are, it's like crack, and the crack addicts looking for it and can't get it. People who are diabetic want Ozempic and they can't even get it. I mean, talk about supply and demand. The sad part is that they're uninformed and they're buying something that may give them short-term gain or benefit in exchange for long-term pain or negatives. That's never a good thing. So we're going to talk about it, and we're going to share a little different spin on it by doing a watch with you of someone who was in pharma and now is a whistleblower and speaking out on drugs like this, and hoping that you become aware, because you don't have to get on these drugs to reverse your type 2 diabetes, to get off medications, to lose weight. And then today I was meeting with my family, and one of my mom's friends, who's a lovely lady, we're talking, and I'm kind of going over these drugs and explaining how they work. And I was kind of doing that so that I could share with them also how you can get the same results eating food, the same results. And I had to go deep on it. So I was sharing with them the things that most people don't know, which I'm going to share with you. And she mentioned that she was on one of these drugs. And we all kind of paused. And you could see that she had a look of concern. And she also had a look, I got questions. And so I answered her questions. Now she's informed. And I'll share a little bit of her story that I just learned today. But now she's off of it. Because if people are aware of what we are aware of when it comes to these drugs, if they're in their right mind, they're not going to be on this drug. They're not. Okay. Well, without further delay, let me bring on the one and only Hammer Girl, Lisa Marie. What's up, Lisa?
What's up, Robert? How are you?
Woo!
Hello, everyone.
We are good. More importantly, how are you?
I am good.
Okay. And how's the weather in beautiful state of New York?
It's pretty nice. It was pretty nice. It's a little cold, but the sun was shining. It was a nice day.
Okay. Well, I'm in California right now, and we've been dealing with nothing but rain. And there was a popular song that said it never rains in sunny California.
It's raining now.
Yeah, and I'm having withdrawals because I couldn't go to the hot tub. And I like the hot tub because it's raining. I mean, I guess I could go in there anyway, but I was like, nah.
You
But
weren't able to go last week because of rain too, right?
yes. So I've been, I get it in where I can, though. Trust me. Oh, man. Well, anyway, you guys, we have made available contact information so you can reach out to Lisa Marie. Look in the description. You can see her website. You can go there, contact her, schedule a free consultation. My contact information is there. And then we have a link for our Telegram, because once we're done with this short time with you guys here, on Tuesdays, we like to run over to Telegram and have an open conversation. And we won't keep you there that long either. But today we are talking about Ozempic. How you feel about that, Lisa? You okay with that?
I'm good with it. We need to talk about it.
Okay. So I'm going to set the stage and just quickly go over some of the key highlights that's in my head that I share on a regular basis. as it pertains to how these weight loss drugs work, to include Ozempic, Wegovy, Zepbound, Trulicity, Mounjaro. I mean, the list goes on and on. There's quite a few of them out there. But the active ingredient in these drugs, for the most part, is GLP-1. You'll hear that a lot, and you'll hear GIP. Some of the drugs have both, and have both of those molecules in them, and some are just GLP-1. So I'm just going to say GLP-1 as we have the conversation. When you take GLP-1, you'll hear a whole bunch of different things about how it works. And number one is that keep in mind you have receptors all over your body, on cells all over your body. And in your brain, there's receptors for GLP-1. And in the brain, you basically get signaled that I'm not hungry. So that switch is turned on where you have no desire to eat. So anyone who's on the drug or take the drug, that's what they're supposed to experience, like no desire to eat, which you would think that's a good thing, but it's actually a horrible thing because you want to eat. And it's horrible, which I'll explain as we spend time together. Number two, it does activate brown fat, which is a little bit more metabolically active. So it burns more calories. And so most people would say, well, that's a good thing, isn't it? Yeah, it's a good thing. But it's not the whole story. A third thing that it does is that in your pancreas, you secrete insulin. You also secrete glucagon. And when glucagon is circulating in your body, your blood sugar levels go up. So the GLP-1 drug suppresses glucagon. So that means that you have less blood sugar. So that's where the help is happening when it comes to blood sugar, right? And diabetes. So a lot of people want it for those reasons. It also slows gastric emptying. And basically all that means is like when you eat food, the food, you chew it up, it gets into your gut, then it gets into your intestine. And once it's in the intestine, everything slows down. And this is one of the reasons why a lot of people are burping a lot, going to the bathroom a lot. People get the runs, cramping, paralysis of the gut. Some people experience a lot of pain and discomfort. And they're just encouraged to stay with it, and eventually their body will acclimate. So because you have food that's going through everything slower, then of course you're not hungry. And this is what they call a benefit. One of the things, and I'll stop here, that they don't talk about is that when you're on these drugs, right, your fat cells get smaller, but they duplicate faster. So whenever you get off of the drug, you're left with more fat cells that now have the potential of all growing to what we call hypertrophy, which means they become a problem. And now you have insulin resistance. You have you're dealing with new inflammation. The weight comes back faster, and you lose skeletal muscle. And when you lose skeletal muscle, you increase your risk for heart attack. You are less likely to survive if you ever got cancer. You're more likely to have hip fractures and find yourself in the hospital for that. And oftentimes people don't make it out of it. So you experience sarcopenia, which is in Greek, vanishing flesh. And when you lose skeletal muscle and you're over the age of 50, and you may be jumping up and down telling everybody how much weight you've lost, well, when the bulk of that weight loss is coming from muscle, you increase your risk of heart attack by 300%. Now, I could keep going, but I'm going to stop there. So who in their right mind would get on a drug like this, knowing that they're putting themselves at risk for the rest of their life? I'll stop there, Lisa.
Well, I think they don't know that risk. They're not explained that risk, unfortunately.
Yes, they are fully 100% uninformed, which to me is an injustice.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just horrible. And then you got to look at, okay, well, why is this? Why are so many people on the drug? Why are so many people on? They don't know any better.
Yeah.
You guys don't know. So I'm going to get us started with Tucker Carlson. And let's watch this together, you guys. And I'll try not to pause it and talk too long. And Lisa, you do the same. But there's key points. And at any time, Lisa, if you want me to pause it, just say, pause,
Okay.
and then I'll stop it, and then we can make a point. But I'm gonna let it go through Tucker's opening, which you and I have seen, and he does a great job setting the stage. And then you guys are gonna meet this whistleblower who has a lot to say. So without further delay, let's watch this together. Check this out.
Think less than 2 years after the very public failure of the COVID vaccines that more people in this country would be skeptical of brand new pharma products. And maybe they are, but they don't seem very skeptical of Ozempic, which is a diabetes drug that apparently, at least in the short term, can help people lose weight. And on one level, you can see why they're not skeptical. This is a very fat country. That's a huge problem. And a lot of people, a lot of us, wouldn't mind losing 20 pounds by taking a pill. So why shouldn't we? Well, we thought it'd be interesting to hear the other side, a side that you were not hearing on the question of Ozempic from someone who knows a lot about it. Callie Means is the founder of TrueMed. He once worked for pharma. He definitely does not now. And he joins us today in studio. Callie, thanks so much for coming on.
Pumped to be here, Tucker.
So you want to lose 20, and I'm speaking from experience, you want to lose 20 pounds, you don't really want to stop eating pizza. This seems like a super quick way to get healthier. Why wouldn't you take Ozempic? Why shouldn't I take Ozempic?
There's three big reasons Ozempic is very problematic, and I think really the Rosetta Stone to understanding what's gone wrong in healthcare and frankly pharma industry corruption. The first point I want to make is that if a fish tank is dirty, you clean the tank. You don't drug the fish. And in America right now...
So they won't know.
Hey, I had to pause it because I love that quote. Like when you hear that, Lisa, what comes to mind for you?
I was actually just writing that quote down. I'm like, "Ooh, I like that quote." What comes to mind for me? Well, yeah, you gotta clean out what's bad. You gotta get rid of it. You don't just add more to it.
Right. And that's what we live in a world where people just add to it. So yeah, I love that quote too. So I wrote it down. All right, let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving.
Notice.
In America right now, we've got a very dirty tank. 50% of teens and 80% of adults are overweight. And this has happened in just a generation. We didn't become systematically lazier in the past generation as Americans and frankly suicidal. Something has happened. And the core mistake of Ozempic is that obesity is not an Ozempic deficiency. Obesity is not the root cause of the problem. Obesity is one branch of the tree of underlying metabolic dysfunction that's ravaging our country. As we talked about, with over 50% of Americans having prediabetes now, 33% of young adults.
Most Americans have prediabetes?
Oh, it's by some measures is up to 60%.
Of the whole country?
Of adults and 33% of young adults and teens. And you have a diabetes doctor, just a generation ago, wouldn't see one child in their entire careers with diabetes. Now, diabetes, which again is cellular dysfunction, is cellular disruption, totally caused by environmental factors and what we're eating. That's close to becoming upwards of 50% of kids. It's 33% and growing radically.
Okay, I just wanted to bring clarity. So you guys, well over 30 million people in the United States of America as adults, and an adult, whenever they quote stats like this, an adult is considered 20 years of age or older. So right now, over 30 million adults are type 2 diabetic. Close to 100 million adults are now pre-diabetic right now. And over 80% of those, close to 100 million, have no idea they're pre-diabetic. They have no idea. So thought you guys should know that. Now we're clear.
Teens, 25% have fatty liver disease, which is something you only used to see in elderly alcoholics. So there's a metabolic health crisis that's caused by decisions, right? The USDA, which is completely corrupt, the guidelines that set nutrition standards, 95% of the guideline committees paid for by food companies, they say that a 2-year-old, that 10% of their diet could be added sugar. We have more money from agriculture subsidies in America today go to cigarettes, go to tobacco than vegetables. 90% of subsidies go to highly processed food. We've propped this industry up. Food stamps, right, which 15% of Americans depend on for nutrition, 10% of all food stamps funding goes to soda. We're the only country in the world that allows that. So we have
to soda?
Goes to soda. So
the U.S. government pays people to drink soda?
The U.S. government, direct from the federal treasury, more than $10 billion per year go from the federal treasury to soda companies through the food stamp program. The number one item purchased with food stamps in America is addictive diabetes water. We prop that up with food stamps. As we talked about last time, I actually used to work and consult with Coke, and we paid the NAACP and other groups to say it was racist to take that away. We totally rigged the debate. So through a corrupt system, we actually subsidize soda. We do 10 of these things, right? We do 10 easily identifiable things that are causing us, frankly, to be poisoned. And instead of talking about the root cause, we're saying that a weekly injection that you have to take for your entire life that costs $20,000 per patient when 80% of American adults are overweight or obese, we're saying that is the answer for obesity. We have a dirty tank, and pharma has basically changed our consensus reality to say, when all these things are happening all at once due to environmental factors, our savior, you do the math on $20,000 per patient, 80% of American adults, we're talking, and this is clear on Wall Street, food stocks are going down, pharma stocks are going up because they're doing cartwheels on Wall Street. This is on track because of government funding, because we stand to put trillions of government funding into this drug to be the most successful drug in American history.
Okay. Come back on, Lisa. Well, one thing I want to just point out, you guys, he's making it very clear how corrupt things are, right? So if you sit back and wait and just assume that agencies, organizations are going to look out for your best interests, you better wake up. When he mentioned the NAACP is making it possible for minorities, specifically Black folks, to have access to soda. And in doing that, the NAACP gets $10 million. Well, we're seeing that a lot. So people are compromised. Like I see this even in the supplement world. So it's not just big companies, right? There's people who sell supplements. The supplements may not be good for a person, but they don't care. They're compromised because they're going to sell the supplement even when they know it's not good for the person or it has an ingredient in it that would compromise that person's health. They're still going to sell it because they make money. Mm-hmm. So you got politicians who are compromised. You got everyday people who are compromised. You got people who are just doing whatever they need to do to take care of themselves. And if that means you get the short end of the stick when it comes to your health, then hey, that's on you.
Yep.
It's crazy. This is crazy.
It is crazy.
And for some of the people who are listening in, you're going, okay, well, who is this guy? And okay, well, you can look this guy up, same as you can look up Tucker. You'll find all of what he's saying for the most part is real. I mean, I don't think we're at 80% of the adult population overweight or obese, but we definitely have the data that says over 70%. So you see that margin of error. But when I hear him talk, I understand how corrupt it is. And people just, they don't know. And that's why we're sharing this video, because you would think this would be on every TV show. Why isn't he on The View? Right? Why isn't he on certain shows? Well, let me ask everyone this question. Who pays, what industry pays the big bucks for these Fox, NBC, ABC, for all these networks to be on? Pharma. And who owns the weight loss drugs? Pharma. They control the narrative. They're paying the bills. You know, when you were a kid and you talk back to your mom and they go, you better watch your mouth. I pay the rent.
Watch it out with soap.
That's right. All right, let's keep it going.
So what? Wow. There's a lot there. But let me just get back to the individual decision to take or not to take this drug. So you're overweight, you have pre-diabetes, and your doctor says, what you would say, which is that's a very serious thing to have. Just because it's common doesn't mean it's not bad. It is bad. And this drug can cure it. Why wouldn't you do that?
It segues really well into the second issue why Ozempic is so problematic. So on a societal level, I think anyone that agrees, if you're just looking at this issue, pumping everyone with Ozempic for their lives isn't the first thing you do to solve obesity. But even if it was perfect, even if it was perfect, but the problem is when you get to the individual level, this drug medically is a absolute disaster. Medically, it's a disaster. So all you need to know is that Novo Nordisk, the company that makes this drug, recently passed LVMH to become the most valuable company in Europe. So this company, most valuable company in Europe, they don't allow this drug for obesity in Europe. Almost all of Novo Nordisk's revenue is coming from taking advantage of Americans.
Stop the presses. Did you hear what he just said?
Yeah, Americans better wake up is what he just said.
Guys, this European company is making all of their money selling these drugs to Americans. Think about that. It's not even allowed in their country. So let's just go to America. They'll eat it. We're like Mikey. We'll eat anything. We'll take any drug.
Well, that's like even in the food. In the EU standards, there's a lot of ingredients that we have in our food. Like they're not allowed to have it over there. Like you can't get the same food, over there that you can get here because they won't allow those ingredients in their food.
Wow, we are expendable. This is crazy. All right, let's keep it going.
This is not the first line of defense for obesity in any European country. It's not approved by the government regulators. They are saying on their stock calls that all of their growth is coming from the US. They're taking advantage of a broken US system in the United States. And when you dive into it, even people in the United States who are getting government funding, insurance funding for this drug don't have to pay for it. 30% of them go off the drug within 3 months. So even though they're fully being paid for it, and we're being told this is a lifetime drug, there's lawsuits coming, just reported in the past couple of days, on gastrointestinal issues and stomach paralysis. The drug itself essentially is stomach paralysis.
What is stomach paralysis?
The drug, what it does is essentially it sterilizes its stomach, paralyzes your stomach to make you not be able to process food correctly. And there's studies now saying that stomach paralysis, the really messing with your ability to digest food, actually stays after you go off the drug. So there's lawsuits now with people with severe gastrointestinal issues after coming off the drugs that's being pronounced, and that's coming out in lawsuits. Additionally, because of that, you're consistently seeing patients who go off the drugs gain the weight back. So that's almost, I think, universally accepted even by Novo Nordisk. When you go off the drug, you gain the weight back. But again, we're seeing most people that take the drug within the first year come off it because the gastrointestinal issues, the stomach issues are so pronounced. Additionally, the EU, again, where this company is based, just launched a probe into suicidal ideation caused by Ozempic. You can't even make this up. But the EU is doing a massive probe because there's so many reports of increased depression and increased suicide. Now, I was debating a Harvard doctor about 6 months ago, and I brought this up because it's kind of obvious. Your serotonin, what produces your contentment and happiness, 95% is made in the gut. And again, Ozempic essentially is gut dysfunction. So
that was good. I was hoping he would actually bring that up because most people do not know that serotonin, which is what we credit for why we feel good, the opposite of depression, over 90% of serotonin is produced in the gut, where these drugs you're taking create disruption in the gut. And if anyone knows anything about the gut microbiome or gut health, you're taking a drug that totally freaks out what's taking place in your gut, and you're thinking that it's all good.
Yeah. You know what? Going back to then what he said earlier, like it's kind of like made me think of like a Freudian slip that he had there. He said this drug sterilizes, and then he said, he's like, oh, paralyzes your gut. But, if it's wiping out your serotonin and your immune system, if it's wiping out your serotonin, what else is it wiping out in there? That's your immune system. And so essentially, it's sounds like it could be sterilizing your immune system.
Well, definitely. That's why I would love to see more gastroenterologists talk about it, which when you look around, you don't see them. The people who spend all the quality time in the gut, they're not out here talking about everybody should jump on these drugs. They're dealing with the people coming to them because of the drugs. So I believe it's funding quite a few gastroenterologists their business because of all the added problems people are having. And it's kind of like a while back I shared where one lady started having some problems, and she ended up dying. She choked on her own food that was stuck in her intestinal tract. It started coming up, and she choked on it. And so now part of procedure when you go under, like if you're gonna be unconscious and you're gonna get some type of surgery, they ask you now if you're taking any of these drugs.
Wow.
And the reason why they're asking is because they will tell you to stop taking it, I think like 3 days, maybe a week before you have surgery, because when you're unconscious, they had people that had food still stuck in their intestinal tract. And it started coming up. So then those people started choking on food that had been in there for over a day or two.
Wow.
But nobody's talking about this. And then you meet people and they don't even want to talk about it. The ones who are on the drug, they don't want to talk about it. They just feel like, hey, I mean, it's working for me. I'm losing weight. And for all the guys out there, all the ladies that have a husband that's on Ozempic, comment in the description below the comments. Tell me if I'm wrong on this. The ones that are losing weight, they are losing weight primarily in their legs and their arms. Tell me if I'm wrong. Someone please say, my husband is on Ozempic and he's got a six-pack now. The belly is still there. They're smaller in the legs and smaller in the arms. Why is that? They're losing skeletal muscle. Tell me I'm wrong. Okay, let's keep it going.
So when you mess with the serotonin and mess with the gut, a lot of unexpected things happening. And very understandably, and really what's to be expected, is we're actually seeing reports of a mass increase in mental health disorders and even suicidal ideation from Ozempic. Kind of you just back up and ask, this miracle drug is too good to be true. It's really coming through.
Wait, so you're saying there could be a downside? It's not perfect?
30% of people. But I want to say this, and I'm a libertarian. I think people should be able to take Ozempic. I think most drugs should be legal, frankly. The problem is where the rubber really hits the road is there is an all-out assault to convince us that this is the appropriate drug. Again, this is the target market. This is why the stocks are popping and why Wall Street's going crazy. It's the biggest TAM, the biggest target market for any drug in American history. It's 80% of American adults. But it's being fast-tracked. You wouldn't believe this, but the American Academy of Pediatrics recently said that they recommend this as a first line of defense for teens. And the study basing that decision for the American Academy of Pediatrics to say that every obese or overweight teen, which is 50%, should take this drug, was a 68-week study. We had a 68-week study for a lifetime recommendation to 50% of teens in America.
You're muted, Robert.
Sorry about that. I was sitting here going off. I'm about done with this video because it's kind of like if let's say I was asleep for 30 years and I woke up and found out I had 2 daughters. And then you said, both my daughters are really good and they're really fast and they run track. I go, oh man. So yeah, matter of fact, let's get you up. They're getting ready to do the state championship and your daughters are running in it. And we get there and I see that there's a pretty muscular kid that kind of looks like a girl, but kind of looks like a boy. And then I say, is that a boy? And you go, well, the proper thing to say, Robert, is it's a trans. And I go, what do you mean a trans? Right? Because I've been asleep for 30 years, right? And you say, well, you could be born a boy biologically, but today in 2024, you can change your mind as far as how you identify yourself, and you can be a girl. And that boy just changed so he could run in the state meet He has a goal to be the fastest woman in the state, and he's got to race your daughters. I would be like, what? Right? You know what I mean? Like, same as these drugs. I would go, what? I just feel like, man, we got to wake up and not just allow these people and these organizations to dictate how we view the world and what is acceptable.
Right. It's like it goes back to his first point, right, about the fish tank, the fish tank being dirty. I mean, we can't just keep taking drugs and, a doctor offering drugs. We need to, why are these children so obese? Why do they have fatty liver? Why, you know what I mean? Instead of here, let's just take this shot once a week for the rest of your life.
Yeah, no,
You know?
I mean, for those of you, I mean, I'm gonna make this video available. You can watch it in its entirety, and I'm not saying that I'm done with it, but what you just said. So I'm gonna share something with you, and this is intriguing, right? So, as I share with you, I found a company that I'm partnering with, and for a whole bunch of reasons, right? So on Thursday, I'm doing a presentation for some of the coaches and some people who have interest, and they emailed. For those of you who want to hear this meeting, you're more than welcome. Just reach out to me, and I'll send you the link. Because after that, I'm gonna start to ramp it up a little bit. But they have a product that makes sense to me, and the product does something. Part of it that it will measure your ratio of omega-6 to omega-3. Now, some people are like, okay, well, what's that mean? Well, if you went back 2,000 years, we probably were, it's estimated that we were like a 1-to-1. So that means 1 omega-6 to omega-3, right? And now it's looked at like you want to be like 3-to-1 over the years. But when they test most people around the world, specifically North America, most people are like 15-to-1, 20-to-1.
Wow.
25-to-1. And what does that mean? Well, omega-6 is inflammation. Omega-3, like when they say eat fish oils and eat salmon and all that, brings down inflammation. So omega-3 brings down inflammation. Omega-6 increases inflammation. They're both essential fats. Now, when you go to your doctor and they feel that you're inflamed, the first thing they do is encourage you to eat more fish or get a fish supplement to increase your omega-3. So instead of bringing down the omega-6, how they improve the ratios, just consume more omega-3.
Yeah.
That is so stupid. But the reason that they do that is because on one end, the government is encouraging you to consume omega-6, which are seed oils. That's omega-6, everybody.
Yeah.
And how can, well, I'm just saying, like in one breath, how can they say, we want you to consume omega-6, but then that's inflaming you. So we need to improve that. So we can't go against what we have in place. So we'll just have you consume more omega-3.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's just even like what he said earlier too. That guy, $10 billion in federal federal money goes to soda, to the soda companies through the food stamps.
Yeah.
Thing.
Yep.
It's crazy.
It's so crazy. Now, my client and friend, actually, I'm not going to say his name, but I had him do this test to see what his ratios were.
Mm-hmm.
So remember, ideally, you want to be 3-to-1. And a lot of people are 15-to-1, 20-to-1, right? And most doctors aren't even checking this, which they could easily do. So part of what I like about this company that I'm partnering with, and why I believe every coach and anyone who's in the health will love it, is that you can do the test right at home.
What is it, like a finger prick?
Yep. And it's very accurate. So one of my clients, I've had 4 clients do it, and I got more getting ready to do it. Take a wild guess what his ratio was.
I don't know. I'm gonna go with like the 15-1, like you said earlier. What?
Okay, 48-1.
Wow.
48-1. And he's walking around and had no idea.
Wow. I want to take that test.
That's what I'm saying. So imagine having a side gig or a business where you can make that test available to people, and then you actually have a blueprint on how they can improve it.
So why don't doctors do that test?
Exactly. And I'm going to talk about that. I know why they don't do it, but I'm going to get more doctors to do it once they see the simplicity of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because once people are informed, right? Like, think about all the people that you know or have met in your life, or you knew through someone else or a distant relative, out of nowhere they have a stroke.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I guarantee you they weren't 3-1.
Mm-hmm.
They were out of balance. Dementia, Alzheimer's, that's all tied also to the ratio of omega-6 to 3. Arthritis, doesn't matter what type of arthritis, all of that is tied into the ratio of omega-6 to 3. And nobody, that's why I'm like, this makes sense. So
Well,
anyway,
that makes more sense than just like because I worked for a nutrition chiropractor who, they always were putting people on, the omegas. And I know, like, my son had an issue, and a doctor had recommend putting him on like the omegas, but like there's a omega-3, 6, 9. But it's like, if you're not even checking the ratio, like, how do you even know what a person needs?
exactly. And I always find it stupid when someone does omega-9 because our bodies produce omega-9. But I've watched people, I go to Whole Foods and they go in the supplement area. I think I'm gonna get that one because it has 3, 6, and 9.
Yeah.
I'm like, you make 9 and 6. You don't need more 6.
Yeah, you're doing six.
Why would you be putting 6 in your body when that is part of the problem? That
Right.
You know what I mean? That just shows.
That's again, like, let's clean up the fish tank, like, let's get rid of those seed oil. Let's cut back on those seed oils. Let's take that out of the food,
Exactly.
that's cleaning up the fish tank.
Clean up the fish tank, people.
This could be a new song, huh?
Amen. So I think we should go over to Telegram, and then we can just kind of open up on this a little bit and just really speak our mind.
All right, sounds good.
But let me give a quick shout out to, we had Linda in the house today. Linda J, Susan Moser, Dana DeMano. I hope I say that right. Hello, Dana. Melissa S, someone in the private group, Sharon, and Susan. So thank you guys for being here. I'll make available this video or the link if you want to watch the entire interview. It just goes on and on and on and on. They could have kept talking.
Yeah, it's a good interview. It's a really good interview.
All right, we got Tammy in the house. Tammy's rocking it. Tammy W, what's up? Any last words, Lisa? You guys, we're going to go over to Telegram. Follow us over. I've provided a link. Just click on it. It's real easy. And it's almost like, you could be washing dishes or, doing chores or just hanging out or walking on the treadmill and just listening over at Telegram. And we'll go over there for about 30 minutes and then call it an evening.
Yeah, sounds good. Now, thank you everyone for joining us, and we will see you over on Telegram. If you're new to Telegram, you can just click the link. You'll join, sign up, and then when you're on the Diet Free Life channel, you'll see on the top right hand corner of your screen a join button, and it will be in there. And anybody can, feel free to talk and join in the conversation, ask questions, and we'd love to have you there. So
All right.
Have a good night, everyone.
I'll see you guys over there. I'm going to lead us out with a little bit of music, and I'll see you guys in Telegram.